Hello, Rex. Thanks a lot for joining my podcast show. It's a pleasure to have you today here to talk about industrial IoT, smart manufacturing, and all this buzzing words. To demystify these things for us. I know you have been working on this in this field since a long time. You have a lot of expertise in this thing. So, why don't you first start? By introducing yourself to my audience.
Yeah, thanks, Sai, and it's pleasure to be part of your podcast. I've been around 20 plus years of IT experience, spreading from the era of your ERPs when it started building and client server technologies and journey towards DWI, analytics, and now the buzzword of IoT, which you have been talking. Yes, I've been part of it from last 3 4 years, journeying, doing some couple of implementations, greenfield implementation from end to end perspective, which has given us a vast experiences about the challenges which industry is facing across. That's brief about me.
That's great. That's great. And just for my audience, I report Rex at my company. We both work at LTI, and it's always a great pleasure to learn from him every day. Thanks for that too, Rex.
Sure.
Just to get started, there are a lot of these words around industrial IoT, the smart manufacturing, Industry 4.0, and all these things. So, can you just demystify them quickly for us?
Yeah, sure, Jasai. That's a very good point to start with this, because many of us have this multiple terms which industry has been coining. Some say it's Industry 4.0, some say Industrial IoT, some say smart manufacturing. But at the end of the day, if you see, it's all the same. The way the industry is defining Industry 4.0 is there are multiple ways of defining it. I would just share of one of them what the industry talks about. It refers this as a new phase of revolution in the industrial thing, which focuses heavily on interconnectivity, automations, machine learning, and real-time data, which is in turn helping it into this, this 360-degree flow of industrial IoT or smart factories or Industry 4.2. These terms comes from different places. Maybe some it started Industry 4.0, the discussions or thought process in Europe or in Germany, I would say, in that specific, and it started flowing in different angles. And today, if it goes to the market in Americas or North Americas or US, they talk it as a smart manufacturing. But at the end
Hmm.
of the day, this is an industrial revolution where you're talking about the automations of machines, people, and connecting to each other, and building this ecosystem. And that's where is this Industry 4.0 coined about.
Ah, makes sense, makes sense. But Industry 4.0, I mean, when did we directly reach to 4.0? Where is this 3.0, 2.0, and 1.0? Can you explain what is it, just a word, or is it really as, something that has evolved to 4.0? Can you explain if there is some history to that? Can you explain that quickly?
Yeah, sure. I think it's actually true. It's not just we came to Industry 4.2. Of course,
Hmm.
there's a journey for this which we have come across, Like, for example, even myself and all of us, like you guys are young, people
Hmm.
like us have journeyed around in 90s or 90, I would say 90s is too long, 96 or 2000, I would say. Around that era is where, when we started
That's when I was born, actually.
That's a good one. So when we were part of this industry, I was part of manufacturing industry itself and
Hmm.
part of their IT team, and that's where we started building up the IT systems, ERP applications, quite a lot of things. Even the era was like, even today you would sit in your place and the laptops will come to you. And
Hmm.
all of us are working on laptops. We used to work on a big desktops, which used to, carry to place as well. So that era where, the shop floor, or I would say the IT was two different angle,
mm,
There is the you don't know what is happening in the shop floor. Things are manually recorded and manufacturing informations which are collated and manually entered into the systems and IT systems you to then give some reports and all. So that's a kind of it was. And today you see it's getting better automation when they're talking about connectivity, right?
mm,
So that's a kind of journey it has happened. So it has not just come like that. I just wanted to give you that some example of. Now going back to this journey, the journey is we start as it's four means definitely there would be if you go in the descending order 3 2 1 something should be
mm,
there, right? So when this it started, we typically have been in the industry talking about starting industry 1.2, and that's the era which we call as a mechanization era, where we didn't even have electricity. It's around I think 1800 or post that I think during that duration where the introduction of mechanical things starts in production facilities are built by spinning wheel kind of a thing which doesn't have any kind of electricity and all, by hand kind of start spinning things,
yeah.
water wheel, steam engines. Based
Mm,
on all these things, mechanical things started happening. But it was not a mass production kind of a thing. It was a simple thing. Individually, people are doing it. So that's where your industry 1.0 starts with, and that's where we call it as a mechanization era.
mm,
Post this mechanization era, over a period of time, it went on, and that comes a period around 1900, I would say 1850 and or 1900, where the electricity was born. The electricity which is today we cannot live without it, right?
mm,
Even 1 second it goes, every one of us make a lot of noise into it. Guys, where is the electricity? I cannot sleep without AC and blah blah things. Think about that era. So that era is when the electrification era where we call where the mass production starts happening
mm,
because of electricity coming in. There is an era which helps us to build this automation, certain automation end to end kind of a thing. When I say end to end, each thing's coming together and assembly line getting created, conveyor belts getting created. Now this is of course in silos they are working, but there is some mechanism in which you are able to work on this, so you are able to fasten things versus manual spinning wheel kind of thing.
mm,
So post that era, that's called the Industry 2.0 electrification era. The era came where we are from 90s or 1990s onwards, or I would say 1950 also, for that to be precise. Some people can range it in different ranges, but we can talk about after 1960s or something when the digitization era starts. Now, what is the digitization era? That's where your computers, your actual IT things started coming in, right? Where you're introducing computers, programming this and that, and you're able to feed the data into computers and start getting some insights out of it.
mm,
It's a right. This is a layman language which we talk about, where electronics and IT and a lot of automation on the production starts coming up. At least production itself, within production, right? You will be able to see automation. The PLCs or SCADAs, which we talk about, which is giving some information about the machines. It started in somewhere in 1969 or 70, and
mm,
this machine started enabled with that, because of which your certain amount of information from machines can be seen in the and-on board kind of thing in the shop floor.
mm,
So this era was called as Industry 3.2. Now we are there in that industry
mm,
3.2
mm,
currently, and we are kind of stepping into Industry 4.2, where we are talking about a connected industry. Today we are talking it as a connected industry. So when I say connected industry, it's the machine and the people connecting together, machine to machine connecting together. That's where OT IT integration happening, or
what is OT and
integrations.
IT?
IT is information, or OT is operation level, which is your machine level data, which we are talking about.
Ah,
Integrating these two together, right? This
okay.
is the journey which is happening, and that's where your digital and physical systems are coming together,
Mm,
right? So when I say physical is your shop floor manufacturing and coming with the digital systems where you're able to see about what is happening into a machines. That's where you talk about connected machines,
correct.
and that's where this in this era you heard a lot of words about Internet of Things, analytics, robotics. What all terms are getting
Mm,
coined now, right?
correct, correct.
So that's how this journey has been there going on. And that's
Right.
why it has not come as it is, just Industry 4.0 was dropped from the book. It had a journey.
Got it. So, I mean, can you quickly explain with an example of what a Industry 4.0 looks like? I mean, Industry 4.0 implementation looks like, with a quick example, what kind
Right.
of, as a consumer, what kind of services can I see? Because being in industry, that's okay, we kind of understand that things are getting better and all this stuff, but as a consumer, how would I get benefited out of it? And also from industrial perspective, what are the changes that are happening, and how is it making the existing thing better?
Right, that's a good question, and it's an interesting one also. It can be explained a lot. What is this in Industry 4.2 happening as such? See, Industry 4.2, till now we were all going well. Why do I really require Industry 4.2?
Mm,
So let me put a question, right? Sai? Have you ever thought that it would have come to you today, every one of us, that I would require when I order something, I should get it quickly,
yeah.
right? Then you would come a question saying that this particular brand seems to be not good. I can
Mm,
give some. It would have been better like this, right?
mm,
These all questions would have come to you, right?
right, right.
That's one part of it. Second part of is today, if I take normal things which we use like mobile, or
Mm,
you take about car, those quite, this is a simple layman example, which is just two things. If you take as today's world, you see every manufacturer is trying to release a new brand or a new patch or a new launch on either of the way every month. To be precise, even month also, there some of them are doing it.
yeah.
Have you ever questioned why do you think this is happening? Any thoughts you had in your mind, Sai? Because you are the
Uh,
young generation guys, you might be knowing about it. Some thoughts.
I think it's definitely because of to keep up with the competition, with the other competitors that are out there, and also just to provide a better value to customers or better options.
Yes, that's one good point which you brought in, the competition, right? The competition is there. There's a humongous of competition because there are many companies, many manufacturers there.
Mm,
But even for that competition, I need to do something that I can win the customer, right? Even competition is that only. How can I? Price is not always everything, right?
mm,
Cost can be one factor, but what does customer want? So
mm,
that customer centricity, and that's where you see buyers market. People talked about, right?
uh,
People talk about buyers market. That's you and me, right? What do I want? What is will satisfy me or you, right?
mm,
This is what is driving many things now, and that's where people are talking about customer centric approach, focus on user experience, which is coming up with a bigger kind of a jargons in it
yeah.
now. To achieve that, there are many kind of things which has to go through, right? How do I
Mm,
achieve this is a good term, that I want to become customer centric. Now, if I want Sai wants what do you think, if I give you a choice, what would you think that I would require? If I say I want to give you want to buy a car, what would be your thoughts?
Well, I would definitely want a car that I could customize on my mobile, and a factory could manufacture it as per my requirements. Like, say for example, my favorite color, my favorite kind of a dashboard with a good leather that of my favorite color again. All such
Hmm.
interior designing of a car, and also the exterior colors and all these things with a logo, or with the name etched on it, with my name etched on it, all such interesting stuff, that any fancy thing that I could imagine of, I would definitely aim for that, if that customer feedback loop is really to that extent.
It's interesting, huh? Sai, you get very interesting getting it. It's a good thing. Yeah, you are very, very well ahead of thought process. But true, that is where we are going to, right? This is where the industry is actually looking into,
uh,
and right. And how do I go to do this? I need to have a bigger change involved. And to why, what is that change about we are talking about? We are
Mhm.
talking about taking inputs from a customer. How I can take feedback, it's individual customer or overall customer, the inputs from them.
Mhm.
And how do I understand the customer? Can I go every time a survey? No. How am I connected with customer, right? So that's where we're talking about. Take
Mhm.
that inputs. The industry should be able to incorporate those inputs into the manufacturing, able to be agile enough and get that output to the customer in a quick turnaround time which satisfies him. Now, to do this entire 360-degree cycle, you
Mhm.
need to be connected and able to understand those informations, because each of this information and insights will help you to become more agile, more, creating personalized things for you. Now, right now, this can only happen if I'm able to talk to my machine, and machine can talk to the people, and then if I can talk to people, get back from people, give back to the machine, this entire cycle, if I'm able to do it in a quicker turnaround time,
Mhm.
then only I'll be able to give you this. And that's where this industry 4.0 is, that, you example, as you said, you want a customized car.
Mhm.
Yes, I would give you. If I'm a manufacturer, I would definitely like to do that. And today, the high-end manufacturers are already doing to certain extent. Manufacturers of the cars are doing to certain extent, where they are connected to the people by the way of dealership. The dealers, they take inputs, they take it into the string from the time of the manufacturing starts
Mhm.
now, and they start trying to customize it. The approach which they want to take is in a future is that they bypass, instead of the dealer coming into play, also they want to directly talk to the customer. So
Ah,
as you said exactly that, through a mobile or something, they interact with them, start from the manufacturing perspective itself and start customizing it, right? And it opens many Pandoras in it. Basically, one is that you are connected to customer, you are able to satisfy customer, you are also opening a new business model into it. So
right.
so this is what is this industry 4.0 is going to disrupt.
Uh, Makes sense. A lot of that's really interesting. That someday. How long do you think will this take to for the day where I can customize my car and get it delivered? A
If
rough
I'm
day.
not wrong, it will. Yeah, if I'm not wrong, in another 4 5 years, you should be able to do that. It's
That's
not
pretty
that is
soon.
also that I'm also doing. Yeah, that I'm saying too very long. But I heard today, a couple of weeks back, I was reading already one of the leading high-end car manufacturers is talking about, their digital officer is talking about it, about doing this, connecting to the directly to the customer and helping him to customize it. He's
That's pretty
already talking
soon.
about it,
That's
right?
pretty soon, actually. That's great.
Exactly.
That's great. I mean, this won't this also change the complete ecosystem of it, ecosystem of how we would use the thing. Like sooner, I think the car wouldn't just be the company sold it and just be the relation between the customer and the company is gone. It's also like it's going to a subscription based model or a service based model where the company would again and again come back to us, provide their services. Like also I think it would also bring in these things like if the company, if the car somewhere goes down, like on the way, if we are traveling to a longer distance, if the car goes down and something happens with it, the company, because it is a connected car now, the company would definitely know, get to know that this might happen, or even if it happened unknowingly, then they can directly send the serviceman to me and just get it repaired. Or even to an extent where if it's going to break down in sometimes, like say in some 20 or 30 kilometers, they can just call me up and say this is going to break down, and you can reach out to our nearest service center and get it repaired. So that's how they are also, they'll, as a company, they'll also earn on service on all these things, and also as a customer, I don't fall into these uh, always expected kind of problems that we might go into this problem and we can't do anything apart from just reaching out to the local guy and asking for help, right?
Right, right,
Any
right.
thoughts on this?
True, true. That's good. So to understand this, we should understand that, this industry 4.0 is into three different value threads, I would say, or pillars of it, right? One, the digitization and integrations of a vertical and horizontal value chains. That is one part of it. When I say this digitization and integration of vertical, this is the manufacturing plants, and the horizontals which and the verticals, which are kind of the entire value chain of production to sales,
Mhm.
kind of digitization. The second part is the digitization of the product and service offerings, like what you are talking about, right? Post manufacturing of this kind of products and the service offerings for it. And the third comes from the digitizing the business models and customer access. So this is the third one. When this is a three different pillars or angles which are going to be part of this industry 4.0, right?
Mhm.
Now, as we talked about the connected machines, which are all the manufacturing plant getting connected, getting insights. Similarly, is what I'm talking about services or the post manufacturing the goods or the products which are we and you are using it. So that's where I'm getting connected to you today. The connected cars that you talk about, we are talking about smart homes. We are talking about smart facilities. We are talking about smart fleet management, where your buses, everything is getting connected. So this all entire thing is getting connected to you. So,
Mhm.
so when I start getting those insights of your car about you, I will be able to kind of start working enormous amount of information. I can do a lot of predictive things with you.
Mhm.
And that's where the industry 4.0 is going to play a disruption of it. As you said, right, that today when you want to travel from a long distance, you don't have an option. You just go and do some service of your car and then start your travel. Now,
Mhm.
many a times it happens, your breakdown happens. What
Right.
would you do, right? On the way. Of course, today there are 24 bar 7 service centers, which you have a call numbers. Of course, I mean, in the day and night, you don't know what happens.
Mhm.
Now, the extent the manufacturers or the power dealers or the things trying to do is, or they would come in future, is that what you say that since I have your informations, I should be able to start predicting about the wear and tear about your car and tell you, Sai, today you're traveling fine on the way when you're going, that in next 200 kilometers or 300 kilometers you might have a breakdown because
Mhm.
of this part, and this is the dealer or this is the service center which is close by to you. Why don't you go and get it repaired or go and check
Mhm.
it before proactively? So what happens, this is a customer centricity is one part, and customer is getting benefited out of this information, right? And he's able to seamlessly have his travel continue, or whether he wants to decide, because this prediction can happen even before travel also, because if you have access to those data, so you can
Right.
make a choice of it, right? So that is where things are going into this. Now, to do this, you need a lot of information which are there, and predictives things has to come into play.
Great, great. I mean, it's really great that we are moving towards that situation where things would be completely in the favor of customers. But how is it that industries are making it? Because the reason I'm asking this question is when we look at these industries, when we go out and if we as when I was in school or when I was in college, when we visited these industries, we see that 90% of the industries are not automated. They don't have any. A lot of things are still happening in manual fashion. And how is this transformation going to take place? Because a lot of things are still manual. Is it that we can use the existing machines and just on top of that we add some modules, or even if we add those modules, how would we
Right.
take care of the interoperability, with the other systems that are out there, and how would we connect it to the cloud. Also, like for example, if we take the any odd manufacturing unit, it wouldn't have any internet facility there, right? Only the admin blocks, or the owner, or the CEO of that company, to that his room, the internet connection might be there. But now we are talking about all the machines generating data. We taking we kind of focusing on what machine might go wrong, and this also falls under industry 4.0, right? The predictive maintenance and all this stuff. So how is this transformation going to take place? What are the different vendors involved in this, and is it a single vendor, and multiple vendors working together for a company, for an industry? I know this is a long question, but please take your time to answer it.
Yeah,
Why?
yeah. Good. That's a good, interesting one, Sai. So before I know understanding to this how it happens, we need to understand what is that industry 4.0 going to bring a disruptions in this industries, right?
Mm,
Because that's where then you understand that how you do it and what you need to do. So traditionally, when the manufacturing plants have been there, they the key parameters, if you want to put in, right, the process, the product, the scale of factory, supply chain, success, had a set of way of doing it.
mm,
In a traditional way, it was very rigid and manual. That many of the things are in manually happening. You you cannot change from here and there. You have to follow certain things. In similar way, the products are standardized. This is been structured. You have a product created, design. It's going on years. You just need to put it and start manufacturing.
mm,
Then there were centralized factories, large factories, bigger factories set it up in some place, and and for example, at industrial scene, earlier days, you would see there would be factories, a lot of factories in US, and you would be getting a lot of things imported or in China
mm,
or somewhere, right? Now that is how they have been there in the industry. Then when the planning comes to the purpose of this, they used to stock things because it's all standardized, right? There's an advanced stock taking thing. You get the inventory done, huge amount of stocks being created, and then you start manufacturing. So with one focus, that was low cost and high efficiency, which you mean
mm,
quality wise, right? So
mm,
these are the traditional way of manufacturing. But if you when we talked about industry 4.2, we talked about how I can be a customer centric, how I can quickly turn around things, or of output of a goods based on some inputs, or based on the market trends, how can I start change my manufacturing patterns, or how I can quickly bring new varieties into it. Like I'm manufacturing in a same manufactured assembly line. Can I do multiple different products? Because if I go and have not utilizing this all machines properly, my efficiency is going down. So how
right.
can I do all those? So which means I need to be process wise, has to be agile, and as
Mm,
much as automation I can bring in, I should be automated with minimal manual things happening at the manufacturing plant point of view. And and this all, the focus with how can I bring personalization, customization early, being a thing, how I can build smart factories, or one, then being a decentralized kind of a locations, then how do I collect, right? Basically, why decentralize? If you are closer to a location, like if I'm getting imported from US to India versus I have a plant in India and I cater the local market, kind of decentralizing things will help me to faster to the market, as well as cost benefit which I get out of it. Now
mm,
if I should be able to do that, but doing that is not just going and opening a factory. You have many other, the infrastructure or the background which you have to bring in. And very important is you should be able to be dynamic and predictive enough, right?
mm,
So if I had to be doing that dynamic and predictive, I need to have a mode of collect having this information, because without information I cannot, or data, I cannot actually give this predictive and being dynamic, right? So how
mm,
do I collect, or how do I get this data? So these are the kind of disruptions which are going to be there, which is going to disrupt this, right? Now, if I have to do this, as we said, we have industries which are running from last 50 years or 100 years, and there are some new industries being set up now. But
Mm,
so there are two kind of houses there, right? One of the legacy system, one of the latest state. Whereas the latest one to be easier one, where you have many things set up over there, right? To collect the information. So what happens is now in this thing which you have to understand is few things how these are enabled are. Mm. So when the industry 4.0, what we are talking about, we have a concept called cyber physical systems.
mm,
What is
mm,
this cyber physical? Cyber physical systems aims at integration of computations and physical process to bring together. This
ah,
means that computers and networks are able to monitor the physical process of a manufacturing at a certain process. Right.
okay.
So this is a point. Now, how does this happen? Right. These are
Basically,
being
put it is like we pick any dumb machine like a CNC or a or, lathe machine, even the old machines, and we embed it with the newer sensors and all this stuff, so that we will be able to get insights out of it, basically data out of it, and then generate insights, right?
right, right. So that's where your how do this being enabled? That's where your Internet of Things have come into play, right?
Mm,
That's where your sensors, which enables this objects and machines such as mobile phones and sensors to communicate with each other, right? That's
mm,
where Internet of Things have come. These are few things which is going to help from the integration of machines with people and all. And with it also, what is the sensors about, right? The sensor is about giving a change in the environment. It gives you a real-time insights about those things, right?
mm,
And then the second thing which is there is the Internet of Services. This is where we talked about smartphones, tablets, laptops, TVs, or even watches are becoming more and more interconnected, but they're more to buy. So these are the added values, right? As you keep on saying that today your to the extent your watches are get connected. If you see your watches are connected with your mobile phones and everything, right?
mm,
So that's the world which we are talking about, Internet of Services. The
mm,
second thing. And the third thing is building a smart factory. Now, the smart factory can be defined as a factory where CPS, that is, the cyber physical systems, communicate over the IoT, that is, your Internet of Things, and assist people and machines in the execution of their task. So, this is a
ah,
simple definition of a smart factory. Now,
great.
why am I saying this, right? I'm saying this because when we talked about the legacy factories versus the newer factories, now when it comes to legacy factories, how do I get information? There are PLCs there, there are SCADAs there, but they have a limited information during that time, whatever was looked for, which has been giving up. But is it sufficient information? May not be, because the kind of insights, the kind of inputs you want from them, rather than I go and change this entire thing, can I do something retrofit to certain level which can give me some informations? That's where you bring the sensors into play, which is connected to your gateways, and then this informations are collected, and you start massaging those things. Now there's sensors where you work, you need people like embedded guys who can come and help instrumentation guys to install, because you have to be properly set it up things there. And some of them are legacy protocols there, where you have to work on those protocols as well. Some of those understanding by creating some custom connectors to this, connecting to these machines. There are challenges in some scenarios. You might happen that you may not be able to open those protocols, and you might have to require the vendors of those legacy systems to help you or to connect that. So that is your legacy applications or machines, how you connect using sensors and IoT, versus the newer versions of thing which gets all those. So you collect this information together. Once you collect this information together, you have to start seeing insights. Now, this insights can be seen in many ways. One is real time. I want to understand. Not to hear.
One quick question here.
Yeah.
Just I wanted to see, say if I am your customer and I want to, I ask for your suggestion that, I have this, say, I have this systems and, I want to just, make my whole industry smart. What would be your suggestion to, use and retrofit the old systems, or would to replace everything with the newer systems?
Okay, that's a good thing. So if you put me in the spot there, or any one of us, at least the way the approach is there, I won't go and say this, right. I will replace this entire thing, right.
Mm,
Or I would go and retrofit also. The first
mm,
thing which we have to understand in this is, and that's where, see, this entire industry 4.0 doesn't come via IT. Yeah? It's a
yeah.
business driven entire program. So this is one thing which all of us should understand. It's a business driven approach. So
Mm.
business are the sponsors, because this is all driven by them. And hence, the important part is to understand
What
that
do you mean by business? The own company owners, or
when I say from business, it's the the sales guys, or
uh,
the production guys, right? All those guys who's actually going to the market and manufacture and sales. Those guys, the manufacturer of the plant, right? Who is
mhm,
manufacturing the
mhm,
plant guys. Those are business. The IT guys are the ones who are helping all these guys, right? So you
mhm,
have the IT side of the world, or the sales, purchase, and all those kind of inventory guys, and the second is your manufacturing guys. These are the business guys when I talk about.
mhm,
Now, these business guys have certain vision and things, right? What do they want, right?
mhm,
So, if I go to the manufacturing plant, or the CEO, he tells me, Rex, I want to increase my EBITDA.
mhm,
That's one simple line. Or someone comes and says, I have my 70% of my overall expenses. In that, 70% is in operational cost, which we talk about, is coming because of
okay.
fuel. So this is my problem statement. How do I kind of make it efficient? This is a typical example of a transformation program. Now, why do we come with it, right? Now, the second point would be, if I'm able to reduce this in the fuel part of it, I shall be able to increase my efficiency also. Second thing is, I will be able to expand. That is
Mhm,
more of expanding your business with existing resources, right? Which you want to do.
okay.
The first one, when the CEO said, I want to increase my EBITDA, how do I do it? I have to do it both sides. You have to look at your back end engine as well as the front end engine.
Mhm,
Now you have to do this assessment to understand that what are those influencing things which are going to help me to play this entire things, right?
right.
Once I understand that, then I might go and tell, okay, these are the certain things I have jotted out. In this X Y Z, I would have to do some retrofitting in your legacy application manufacturing plant, or I want to make it automated. These are the things which I have to do. Once I
Mhm,
do this, I will be able to get X plus Y increase in your productions, kind of a thing, right? X plus Y savings, which I can bring because I'm able to reduce your maintenance and all this stuff. So that's one way I'm adding to the numbers. And
mhm,
third, right, by doing these automations, I'm able to produce things faster, and you are able to cater your customer, right?
mhm,
So this all will fall with that assessment kind of a thing which you do, and then go and recommend. You may not require every time to go and replace everything, or
mhm,
do there is, and that's where many of the customers or in the people fail also, right?
right.
In the industry, they fail in understanding that thought process, and what happens is going to a big bang approach. So it's good to start small with understanding the value which is going to be brought by this in transformation, and then you start into a big bang. This is a good approach which at least we have been very successful in doing with multiple customer when we have done end-to-end implementations, greenfield implementation for that sake. Both which I talked about is a live example which I myself have been part of implementing it.
Ah, nice. That's great. Yeah. Sorry. You are continuing
Yeah.
with something. Yeah.
Right. I was so we were talking about how this legacy versus this systems coming together and giving the now whatever we talked about also added to that is that I need that insights of data. So that's where the edge computing comes into play. So you have the sensorization, you're retrofitting sensors, you're bringing PLCs, you're bringing all this data together. I need the information to be massaged and seen at a real time because there is many insights and decisions which I have to make on the time, and that's where edge computing comes into the play, and that's where it's the edge analytics and edge computing. There's many of the things, multiple things which we can do as part of it, but it's the first layer of consolidation and giving insight to the customer. And post that, you need to understand how this data insights on a patterns, for a predictive maintenance and all this which we talk about. But you're talking about predictive kind of analysis. I need the historical data as well. So that's where either you keep it at the edge. Some customers, based on the legalities, they try to keep it at the edge or within their data centers. Others take it to the cloud and try to massage their data together and start using it for prediction. Now, when it gets a connectivity from an edge to a cloud, or from if edge is not coming into play directly from a sensors or gateway to cloud, there are n number of plethora of platforms, IoT platforms, which are there in the market. Which the standardized ones are your all our standard guys, Azure, AWS have their IoT services, which SIs like us help together with integrating with this Azure services, building a solutions of end to end which can massage the data and give insights in a quick turnaround time. You know, then there are off the shelf solutions which SIs like us or many would have, which can help us to kind of build this solution. And then typical there is an IoT platforms like PTC ThinkWorks is one of them. Siemens are coming with something there. Then we have ServiceNow now joining this panel. So there are plethora of things coming into it from an IoT perspective, which helps us to bring this machine data together along with certain IT data as well and building it in a hybrid solution. So if you see, this is a plethora of technologies which are involved in every places. You have embedded, you have instrumentations, you have and edge analytics guys, which should be including technologies like Python, .NET Core, some advanced technologies which are there, which helps us to do those things. Then you have the cloud computing point of view. The cloud guys who require to be cloud knowledge with IoT technologies of IoT core, or even certain places you need to understand about the certain big data technologies which helps us to massage this data along with this on that front. And of course, then you have your data science and all. The extent today we have come is there are many kind of data science work which happens on immediate by cloud services itself. It's
Yeah.
you give the input, you give the output in a quick turnaround time. So those are the kind of things which are there across. So to be frank, this is the end-to-end journey which happens where you have the sensor guys, instrumentation, embedded guys, cloud guys, analytics guys, mobility guys, all coming together as individual. Why I'm bringing this big umbrella? The students can understand, or the people who are getting into these things. There is a market across. There is opportunities across the
Huge,
market.
huge market. Definitely a huge market because, yeah, I mean that's you very well explained the whole spectrum of IoT basically, and also you gave an insight that it's not just a single company that earlier when say for example Mahindra and Mahindra needs some service, it has its own Tech Mahindra now, but say for example an automobile company needs some IT service, it would reach out to some IT company. But now for this whole digital transformation that they are taking up, they need to reach out to multiple customers and then multiple vendors, and all the vendors also have to work with each other to make it possible. So that's really a great thing. Yeah. Okay, so one last question for today is, what is your futuristic thought about this space? How is industrial IoT gonna look like, say 5 years down the line? Because 2020 we are at a catalyst mode. Things we didn't imagine would happen, or that we imagine that might take 5 years down the line, have happened today by now in last 8 months. So, what is your catalytic thought about this in this space, or about when and uh, what would be that day? What would that day look like when we are there?
Right. That's a good thing. I'm very much being the way the market is going. I feel it's very aggressively going towards a world where it's not too late, where we sitting at home would be doing the entire manufacturing plant operation itself. When I say
Right.
entire, the entire manufacturing happening to the extent, of course there are certain levels happening today, but I'm saying that entirely majorly can be done virtually. Does that mean I don't require people? No, it's not that. You need still, but what I'm saying is that kind of connectivity or that kind of insights which will start coming in, which will help us to automate so things which like sitting from your virtual reality, what we're talking about, that's are the kind of things which you're talking. One. Second is you would be sitting like already it has been started. If you see in the hospital industry, it is
Mm,
kind of talking about doing remote surgery, which they're already doing it.
yeah.
The entire thing, right? There are few cases which you have already seen that. So that is the extent of the world which I'm seeing, and very good example of the connected customers or connected people which we talked about. These are
Mm,
the certain things which I see in future, and this is happening very fast. That's a biggest thing, right? And hence this industry requires a humongous amount of people coming together to help the partners, the people, SIs coming together and support this ecosystem to deliver it. So
mm,
this is the next 4 5 years of journey. But very one just to many of the people has this mind. Does this automation, does this things will bring a lot of challenges where people will not have jobs? What will happen to them? Will IT guys don't have anything? What will happen to all those things? This is a unique thing which many of people try to think about. But to my thought process, it may not, because when certain thing happens, of course, there's a change happening, but it brings many other plethora of things to open multiple other tracks as well, because you need to support
yeah.
those things.
Yeah.
But the only thing which can happen to do that is individuals or the people like us, you, whether it is seniors or whoever or the students who are coming, should be able to adapt to this change. That's very important. We have to be adaptable. And
Mm,
to be adaptable, you also should be learnable. You have to learn things, right? Because if I become absolute with say that I'm a PLC programmer, so I will be lifelong PLC programmer, it may not
mm,
happen because things are moving ahead. You have to be along with it. So if you are there with it, definitely then there is a humongous amount of opportunities which are going to be there. It is not going to die down, whether it's an IT guy, whether it's a manufacturing guy. There is amount of opportunities which is going to be there always. One the important thing is you have to cross skill yourself or upgrade yourselves, adapt to it, right? And tuned to be flexible into this is some simple mantras which is there in the industry. It is not something new, but you have to change yourself and the path as the industry is going.
mm. That's really important. When even when I advise some of my juniors, I tell them that he comes up, he or she comes up saying, telling me that I am from computer science background. Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? I say, goddamn, learn everything that comes your way. You suddenly you have some brother, talk to him, get an opportunity, who is working in some automobile company, get talk to him, get an opportunity, go visit that company, see how things happen there. Just be in that process of learning all the time till you die. That mindset itself will take you a long way, right? That one thing I for sure I've learned, from a lot of since the time I wanted to get into IoT, to today when I work on IoT and today when I'm running a podcast on IoT, I've learned this one thing that don't say no to learning is the one mantra that, as you rightly said. And also
True,
adding to the a quick story here, adding to the the job losses that might happen. I'll tell you a story which one of my colleagues narrated me when he visited one of the companies, manufacturing companies. He was talking to his CEO, and he told him that, see, when 5 years down the line, when I was taking up the charge of this company, uh, we had almost 30 people working on each assembly line, and there were four assembly lines, right? So it's almost 120 people. So, but now only three people are working on each assembly line because lot of process is automated, and only three people are needed. Or even they are just there because if something goes wrong with machine, they are there to correct it, right? So that's how, I mean,
right,
90 people have already lost their jobs. But is it that the company fired them? No, they, upgraded them. Like they gave them opportunity to upskill and learn other things like PLC programming, or they sent them to get trained themselves on IT stuff. They establish their own IT section, and where they learn all these things, like when internet goes down, what are the troubleshooting that you have to do. So all such new opportunities come up. No one thought that you know a shop floor worker would be meddling with internet or routers and all this stuff, right? So
right.
this is drastically changing, and just we have to adapt to it, just keep upskilling. And also, apart from that, job losses are saved. Job losses didn't happen, they just transformed the way they work. And also the efficiency of their manufacturing has increased. They said it increased from 95 to 99%. So their customers are also happy, the quality has improved. So it's a win-win thing. So definitely we are going towards a better situation. And I have a strong gut feeling that you be in IT, you be in these things, IT industry is gonna be there, but manufacturing companies is where maybe 10 years down the line, manufacturing companies, or 5 years down the line, manufacturing companies are the ones who will be hiring these IT guys much more than IT industry itself. And this is, I don't know, this is my strong gut feeling, that's what I feel, because a lot of work is yet to happen there, and they definitely will need that workforce. What are your thoughts here?
I definitely agree with you. That's like for example, even we as an LTI, if you see, we have been working and we have our domain expertise, which is there within our entire as an organization. We
Mhm.
have that kind of flavor itself. If you see the way we have been transforming across, right, with our
Mhm.
own added and all. That's how the journey has been happening. Many of us today, till us to our level of people, or many of the people in our even organization are kind of technology savvy. Every day we have a learning for it, right? And we think about that this is something which has to happen at every level of people, that on a continuous basis. I mean, it doesn't mean that you need to just code every time, right? It is the knowledge which happens, so that at every level you are upgraded yourself and able to help customers, help mentor people if wherever it is required, and you get on to hands dirty with it. That's the approach which we are going, and that's how I entire my team, or whichever, I mean, I mentor people within organization or outside. The same thought process has been going on, and to be frank, to my entire group is that's a technology savvy guys.
Yeah,
The team comprises of whether you take it about a fresh graduate out of the college who has joined us, or the guys are senior folks, whomever you talk, they are on spot, that ready to pick up things, what they on technology. Give me something new, no problem, we will pick it up. And that's how we have been, be able to be successful, able to implement to different customers. That's how, otherwise, because as you say, would have heard by now, the plethora of technologies and things are involved in this IoT space. It's not so easy.
yeah,
Of course, deal partners of many partners, but it's there is a central focal group which has to run this entire show.
Mhm.
I get one sensor guy, but he cannot do the entire thing. That's where we are there. We bring that domain. We have to bring that. Basically, I mean, there are SIs like us who have to do this, right?
Uh,
And that's the thing which is a central point I'm talking about. And to do that, I need a plethora of things to come in. I need to understand it, right? Though that's the energy each one of us has to carry to get this going. Else, else you will definitely be behind, right? Then it's a kind of those are the things with people, or I would say the people who feel that. But major thing, if you're able to adapt with this world, definitely you can go ahead. There's plethora of things to be done. And definitely in IoT space or Industry 4.0 journey, smart manufacturing, I cannot count. There's hell lot of things in that, where you should be able to, move ahead. So that's a message to the young guys, who are going to be into this industries or the people who are already into this IT and part of IoT. Don't think that, I just pick up a embedded program, I pick up a visualization. That's all my world is done. Nothing like that.
mhm. Great,
Go ahead,
great.
go for the kill end to end.
Yep, yep. That's a great suggestion to end with. Thanks a lot for being here today. You gave a lot of great insights from jobs to how the industry is transforming to everywhere. I'm sure this episode is for everyone. Be if it's an industry that they who wants to transform their industry, their manufacturing, and have their digital transformation enabled, or a college student who wants to get into IoT or the space and want to do wonders. This will definitely help them. Thanks a lot for being here and giving your great insights. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Sai, for the time, and it's a great pleasure. This is all my personal experience and thoughts which I've shared with you guys. Thanks for that, and thanks for the opportunity. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye bye.
you. Bye bye.